Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Aaron Wright, aka Ace the Real. We're coming to you with a new live and direct radio show called Another Perspective. It's about our mindsets. These guys I got on the panel today, they're going to represent themselves. But I just want to give you a little bit background of me. I am from Chicago, Illinois. I'm from the Robert Taylor Homes, one of the biggest spots in the city that, it was a lot of endeavors and gang banging and killings and all types of things that you can imagine. But one thing about that situation was that we had family, even if it was the streets. And I'm here today to represent the streets because I know their mindset, because I am them, I was them, I lived through them, the whole nine. My biggest thing that I wanted to do this show about is bring it to the forefront of the senseless killings that's on the streets. Because I am from the streets. I used to be a chief enforcer for the Mickey Cobra Nation. And I know exactly the mindset and why they think the way they think. But it took people that got in my tail and made sure that I follow certain guidelines. The thing is, today people don't have respect for one another, and some parents, not all, want to live through their kids, trying to be their friends. So, but I'm not going to get into that right now because I want to give everybody a ample amount of time to represent themselves. So I am the voice of the streets. Try to keep people aware of what's going on, even representing some of the mom and pop stores that's down there that don't get a chance to promote their business. One thing I am about is black owned. You know what I'm saying? I don't have nothing against other businesses, but it's time to feed back our own communities. And I'm gonna pass the mic to my boy Kay, and he can represent himself.
Awesome. Like I want to say again, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to all the audience and people that's tuning in to Another Perspective on IntellectualRadio.com. My name is Kareem Lewis. A little bit about myself. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I graduated from DuSable High School at a time where we came in and the school was on probation and rehabilitation, all at the same time. So it wasn't no school trips. We had books where pages was missing. We had to share books and things like that. But we came in, the reading and math scores was like at first grade, and we tripled the scores the first year, took us off probation, tripled the scores the next year, and took us off rehabilitation. But my main background is, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I went to the Charles A. Hayes Family Investment Center where I used to mentor youth. I also used to teach basic computer operations and basic web page design to grammar school and high school students. I have a background in, I took 2 years of Cisco networking, telephony, A+. I used to teach CHA residents how to build computers. I also used to go around to other community centers and help set up their networking, things like that. What I want to bring to the platform, as far as Another Perspective is, I was once told to write my own history. And a lot of times when we look at the news, we're portrayed in a very animalistic type of way. And so why I'm here today is to tell our own story and to tell you what's really going on in the hood. And not what's really going on, but how we can change the things that's going on in our community. And that first starts with ourselves. So thank y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all continue to build with us on this journey. I'm going to pass the mic over to Chris Davis.
Yes. Much love. Peace and blessings to everybody. My name is Chris Davis. Once again, grew up from the south side of Chicago. I graduated from DuSable High School, class of 2001.
What?
Representing the class of 2001 out here. I have went to college, and I went to Alcorn State University.
Whoa.
Graduated from HBCU with a bachelor's degree in mass communications and radio and television. So I'm just a little rusty about it, but I'm just going to get it back on track.
You feel me?
And I graduated with honors with going back to the community, I decided to work with Chicago Public Schools as a former teacher, but I was subbing from time to time, and I wanted to reach out for the youths. And like my man Ace was saying about how we got to get everything in perspective with the youths and turn them around and put them back on track. So what I'm here for, like, I left CPS a couple of years ago and started my own business. And just as a barber, I can reach out to other people in the community.
Smooth cuts.
That's what it's about.
What that cut stand for?
Oh man, if you could look at Kareem haircut, you can tell. I mean, hey,
sharp. That is pretty smooth.
But anyway, I mean, like I said, sometimes as a Black business owner, you got to have something to fall back on. We got to utilize our talent as a Black people. I grew up in Stateway Gardens, 3835 South Federal, apartment 302. That's where I grew up from. I've been through a lot. I've seen like gang bangers and all types of stuff that I grew up with, So, but I just want to reach out to the community with our youth and a lot of struggles, and we just want to put Chicago back on the map instead of hearing Chirac, and we just want to turn it back from a negative into a positive perspective.
Reciprocate, brother. Reciprocate.
So that's what we're all about. So I'm gonna turn it to my man Reese and just hit us home with it.
Yeah, what's cracking like and stacking, everybody? I'm Maurice Walls, aka Maurice Walls, and I share the same sentiments as these brothers do. But right before I get into that particular sentiment, I'll give you a little bit of a background about myself. I'm originally from what we call Southern Illinois. That's Harvey, for all the people from Harvey. I moved to Chicago, I think around the age of 11 or 12. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the South Shore area. And in addition to that, just piggybacking off what some of the brothers were saying on the panel, is that I've seen a lot of violence, and I was actually subjected to some of it too, because of the people in my community. And it's interesting. There's a saying that goes, it's an African proverb. It says, it takes a village to raise a child. And that's a very powerful saying. But the thing about it is, when you say it takes a village to raise a child, you have to consider all the things that are in that village.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
If you have like negative factors that are, swarming throughout that village, that's what's going to raise your child. So in addition to the fact that it takes a village to raise a child, it takes people to precipitate change within the village in order to raise the child.
Yes.
Because once you step outside of that house, once your child steps outside of that house, out of your house, I mean, those external influences can either have a negative impact or a positive impact. And those are the things that create and make that village. So it takes a village. It's a very powerful African proverb, but we need to change the village. And it really goes beyond change, brothers. I really think it goes into transformation, because like change is something that is temporary, but transformation is permanent.
That's right. Exactly.
And we need permanent transformation. That's something that we need to segue into in our community. And it's interesting because I'm a student at DePaul, and I'm currently working on a degree in screenplay writing. I'm working on an MFA, and my thesis is based on the story of Uptown Tulsa, which is also affectionately known as Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street.
Right, yeah, Booker T. Washington.
Yes.
And the thing about it is, I was thinking like, wow, what if we can get back to that way of thinking in their community? In those communities, brothers and sisters, even though they were subjected to Jim Crow, they managed to work things out, whereas they had to be together. They had to live together. They understood the community life.
Right.
Yeah.
They loved one another. They embraced that. So, just thinking about those particular virtues and that particular system, I'm just wondering, how can we get back to that?
You know, that is a good question. I just want to piggyback on
No, sure, go ahead, brother.
some of the things that you were saying. especially given in the community. I was told that you only know what you're exposed to.
Exactly.
So if you only know from 47 to 51st, then that's as far as your mind is going to expand.
Absolutely.
And a lot of these, even growing up myself, around those type of areas, we it's common to us. We know where the corner store is. We know where this person lives. We know where that person lives. But whenever we resided outside of that community, like say downtown, even though it's within the same city, it was like going into another city and not knowing where you at. So it's about expanding ourselves, about learning ourselves first, learning who we are, and that's another thing. We got to stop allowing people to tell us who we are.
Absolutely.
Yes. Writing our history, saying, y'all, if you look at, everybody always resort to Egypt and Africa. But I was reading a book by Horace Butler called When Rocks Cry Out.
Yes.
And it's a very powerful book because the Egypt in Africa is the second Egypt. The first Egypt was here in America. It's a 20,000 plus year history of our people in the Americas that is being kept from us.
Yep. Absolutely. Yes.
Things like that.
So stuff that we don't know about.
Yeah, that we don't know about. So within this, like I said, within this platform, those are the type of things that I want to touch on. Because if you look at our community with the lack of resources, the lack of schools, the lack of jobs, it's nothing to aspire to. And the only thing that you have to aspire to is on the television. But the television is selling you poison.
Absolutely.
It's telling you to be a football player.
With TV, it's like you blocking everything that, especially with our youth. And that's why with the youth, we can't like aggress to like what they want to achieve. It's like they look at rap videos or all the Beyonce videos, like what you need to start your own empire. Like I got a son, he's 8 years old, and what I do with him, I mean, like I said, I'm not the perfect dad, but I'm learning as a father to, take him somewhere like downtown, let him explore different varieties that I was never exposed to when I was growing up. Like take them Lincoln Park Zoo, or take them somewhere like Millennium Park, like when the weather's nice. Take them somewhere. It's an adventure to them. But all they know about is the hood.
And you know what? I'm glad we hitting on that subject, because in the mix of me being in the streets, one thing that saved me was sports. I loved music. I had a teacher, Dr. Emil Hamberlin from DuSable. You know what I'm saying? He was the father of Godfathers. You feel me? He was. So it was also, I had other men from the streets that was in the nations and all divisions.
Right.
Because I have family from everywhere. But they stayed in our tails because of the simple fact they knew we had potentials. They always told me, man, just keep fighting. See, that's the flip side of it, because now from that transformation of them giving them that respect, but at the same time, I love the fact that they was fathers when I didn't have my father.
Exactly.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Nothing, taking nothing away from my dad. I love him. You know what I'm saying? May he rest in peace.
Yes,
but he wasn't there. You see what I'm saying? I was happy enough to have a father, because there's a lot of brothers and sisters didn't have a father.
Right.
But just to say that I had a father, and then he had a reputation in the neighborhood. Now, because his friends knew how solid he was, I'm the first seat.
Yes.
So now, regardless of my dad going through his transition of drugs and things like that in that nature, but now I have to step up to the plate and be that next generation.
Yes.
Win, lose, or draw. I've been through a lot. My life is an open book. That's why I'm doing a documentary, the story of Aaron Wright. You know what I'm saying? Because I want people to get into the mindset. Because can't nobody tell me that anybody that comes from Robert Taylor don't have a mental problem. It don't have to be the mental problem that they go out and do things. It's a mental problem of them having that train of thought.
Exactly.
Because we was in that circle.
You know what, Brother X, I want to elaborate on, because like you said, you have been through a lot. And like you said earlier, you used to be the chief enforcer of the Mickey Cobra Nation. What I can attest to back in my younger years, when I saw my cousins growing up and gang banging and stuff like that, whenever they looked at me and my cousin Gaddis, they say, look, this is not for you. Go to school. And back in that day, children was off limits.
That's right.
Parents, mothers was off limits. You had to go to school. If you didn't or get caught, it was some things that enforced that will make sure
that you was in school.
So guidelines. I think from my perspective, the heads, the people who provided the structure, they say if you cut off the head, the body will what?
Fall.
That's right.
That's what happened. They took the structure because once you start a gang, we can start like us four. We can start out as a gang. But as we progress and grow bigger, we're going to start saying, hey, you provide this role. You fulfill this role. From that point, we're breaking into structure. So we're no longer a gang. We're becoming a organization. And I think that's what, if you look at the GDs, the BDs, then the Mickey Cobras, over that course of time, they became organizations.
Yes, sir.
But they also became a threat because the people who ran those organizations, the top organization, had the Black community. Right. And they was providing for the
they also had
breakfasts and things like that.
Right.
So if you're doing that, you also have what? The Black vote. Right. Which is essential to. So now you have these so-called gang leaders who was pretty much demonized through the media, who could have been politicians.
They could have.
Who could have been running our communities and things like that. Now they're locked up for 300 plus years because of that.
And one of the reasons why that is because of the fact that it's something that you mentioned earlier in the show. We no longer control our narrative.
Exactly.
Right. That's why we need this shows like this, and that's why we need more, powerful and positive Black writers to control our narrative, right? Our stories. The media, they're demonizing us, and like you said, they manage to render us powerless because they come up with engineered these plans to tear the community apart.
Exactly.
When at one point, like you said, the communities were together. And you had your fish fries on Friday nights. Yes. And people was out.
You had the Marvin Gaye's.
Check this out.
Yes, sir.
Now look at that. That's all fine and dandy. But when you build your child, the baby, take a boy. He's a baby boy. Then he's a toddler. Then he's a little boy.
Yes, sir.
Then he's preteen.
That's right.
Then he become teen. Then he become young man.
Right.
Then he become a man. Why? Because he have to be able to walk those steps of life, those trials and tribulations. Our job is to guide them in that direction where if they do come to a situation in life, you have to stand fast. You have to think and have common sense.
What happened to common sense, brother?
What happened to common sense?
It's just not common anymore.
Exactly. So that tell you when you don't have the common sense in your household, it's going to be a problem. Think about this picture. Instead of you trying to be your child's friend.
That's the problem now, this generation age. That's the problem what we're missing now, because we have to be parents first instead of being the best friend to your child, because that's the problem in the community in Chicago. Well, not just Chicago, but all over.
Right.
Because you let your child dictate how to structure your household. You see what I'm saying? So that's the problem. That's why they exclude out fathers, but instead the mothers step in and say, hey, I'm your mother, I'm your father. Mm-hmm. But when they grow up, now they all over the place.
Why? Because the simple fact, when safe. I'm going through that struggle myself with my youngest two boys. One thing about me, I put my life on an open book because I'm not scared to tell nobody I have failed.
I'm the same.
I did things that I didn't want to do, but look at me now. So it's not a textbook of being a parent. It's having common sense to parent. It's a difference. You got to have common sense. I mean, a person that have a mental problem, if they go to the stove and they turn the stove on, they know it's hot.
Right. Absolutely.
So now, even though I had to go through the trials and tribulations of my life, and I really don't, how I can say, I'm glad that I struggled it. You know why? Because it kept me grounded, because I have lost a son in the streets. My daughter died.
Sorry to hear.
I just found out I had another daughter that me and her is, getting better acquainted. You know what I'm saying? I got a son that's out there that's act just like me. So I'm not going to sit here and try to put myself on a pedestal, because I know what I have done, but I also know it was people in my life at that point, good, bad, or the ugly, got me to where I am today.
Yes, sir.
So when you have adults that have kids, which they had them young, and when the father and the mother is not together and they having friction, the first thing, some, not all, mothers will say, you can't see your child because you with that so-and-so, or, you ain't giving me no money, so you can't see your child. Now, all of us men that have kids, we start off wanting to be that best father for that child, even when we was with that woman or not.
Right.
But because our grown self is putting our feelings involved instead of being co-parents, because at the end of the day, it ain't about me and you no more. It's about this child that we brought. And I don't want my child to grow up feeling that the separation. And you wonder why certain families, when the child come around, they feel some type of way because they feel alienated because they didn't have that chance to grow with that family.
They just didn't get loved as much that they supposed to.
Now, when you set rules and regulations in your house, you stand on it. And if in fact you have a problem, if daddy's not there, you get the daddies involved. That's one thing I'm up here about.
See, I grew up in the hundreds. Like as a kid, I remember we used to get in trouble, and the neighborhood used to see us get in trouble. We got our butts whooped, and they'll tell our parents, mama whoop our butts, dad get home from work, daddy whoop our butts. But at the end of the day, they showed us that tough love. And that's the problem. What our children need. They need that tough love. You letting your guards down on your children, but instead of just being strict. I mean, like I said, I'm getting there with my son, and it's getting there because I too am a parent, and I'm getting them involved in martial arts, and I'm also an instructor. But at the same time, I'm dad first before anything.
Exactly.
I want to piggyback off that, but before I do that, I want to thank everyone that's tuning in now for tuning in to another perspective.
Yes, I agree, man.
On IntellectualRadio.com.
Much love.
So I want to elaborate on some of the things that both of you all said, and starting with Chris. I remember back in the days in the community playing on the block. Saturday morning, summertime, you go out on the front porch, everybody sitting out there from the corner of 46 and Langley all the way up to 50th Langley, house to house. Everybody that stays on that block, and everybody knows you. The time has changed now, because on that very same block that we still stay on, it's not like that anymore. The vacant lots are no longer vacant no more. They have houses and things built on them, apartments and built on them. That camaraderie, that community is no longer there anymore. I mean, me and my friend was standing outside on this block that I grew up on ever since I was little, and the police was called on us.
Thank you, Rob.
This is which has never, and that shows you that separation between the neighbors. It's not like it was back in the day when you communicated with your neighbors. Y'all sat on the porch together from sun up to sundown and communicated with each other. It's not like that no more. Everybody do what they want to do and stay to themselves and then go their separate ways.
That's interesting that you bring that up, because of the fact that I'm wondering, since we're talking about, like the community just being decimated.
Much love, Jason.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty much been
decimated.
So, like, in addition to gentrification, which is like one of the reasons it's being decimated. But before we even get to that, what do you think is the reason why the community itself, starting with itself, is coming apart? Is it because of this new social construct that we're under? The social construct is individualism, or is it we just gotten away from just loving each other? Or
it's a lot that it entails that, and it starts with the parents, how they separated black man from black woman.
Wow.
That's one of the first things. If you break up the family, once a family breaks up, that community is going to follow.
It's like dominoes.
That community is going to follow. Another thing is that it's who they're targeting. Right now, they're targeting our black women and our children.
And they're building more prison cells and the more prison cells that's going on. And then, like you said, with the Chicago public schools, they taking that away.
Frederick Douglass said, "It's easier to build stronger children than to repair broken men." Okay, so if you look at today's social structure in regards to television, music, all the music that's getting played on radio, even the movies, that's not for me, because I'm older now. I understand the difference between right and wrong. I have common sense, but children, the young, they're controllable.
Yes,
they need to be controlled. That's why if you look at the rap industry as a whole, they give you this age limit. No other genre in music has an age limit. R&B, blues, jazz, singing, no other, but rap, right? Hip hop has an age limit. Right. They want to keep it young, because the younger you keep it, the more you can control it.
Absolutely, right? That's what they're doing.
And so, if you can affect a child at a younger age, if you can poison them at a younger age, you already started to affect that generation.
Sorry.
So you don't allow them to build. You don't allow them to educate their children. And as long as you can do that, you can maintain the ignorance.
Right.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I had a debate with this brother on Facebook, and I'm not going to mention his name because I'm not going to put people on blast like that. I don't disclose the type of information. But at any rate, he said that no, Maurice, I know what you're talking about, man. Music, it's not the music, it's the lyrics or something. I'm like, bro, we were talking about music and violence, and piggybacking off what you're talking about, how the how the industry can control people, manipulate people at an early state, based on and basically he was just his argument was that music is just the carrier. It's the lyrics. I said, dude, it's all one unit.
It's a disease. Because let me tell you something. How could you sit here and be on the radio with a nice beat, popping Molly, I'm sweating. Talking about the drug and everybody liking the drug.
It's addictive.
That's addictive.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. When I'm gonna go right back to it. We can talk about all this outside bloodlines. It still comes back to your household. Yes. How to control your household. I had you young and I understand where you at. But let me tell you something. Don't no doors be closed in my house. No, your friend can't spend a night. No, you got a boyfriend. I hope you're not doing. I'm not saying putting your foot on their neck, but control your household, because you don't know what your child do outside that household.
That's
But I tell you what, you control your domain. And then if you doing what you're supposed to do as a parent, first and foremost, I'm gonna say this word again, common sense. It's goes talk to your neighbor, talk to their friends.
And people don't talk to each other no more.
Get a camaraderie. We don't have to sit here and have a barbecue or pop a bottle or whatever the case may be. We don't. But as long as we have a line of communication as an adult and knowing the basis, I don't want my child.
And that's the problem we
involved.
missing now, because that's the problem in the community. We don't get to know our neighbors now, because there's always a pointing finger. Well, your child did this, or your child gang banging. I don't like your child being on my porch and all that. You need to see what the child is. What you don't even know what that child has been through.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And it's a front.
Right.
It's a front.
So look, we gotta come together as a whole unit.
Look, back in the day, if I did something wrong, right, then you only get one or two chances, if that. Granny was putting me across her leg.
Right. On the extension cord.
Man. Was a lot. Or they tell you to go get the switch.
Right, I know, right?
You finna go get the weapon that you finna get.
You get the smallest one.
And then on top of that,
sometimes you won't even come back.
Right. And I tell people right now today, you know what I'm saying? These dips in my head, that's why I wear my head bald. You feel me? Not because it look good. I'm just showing you the war wounds.
Right.
Not from the street. Mama, uncle, auntie, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I said something smart and I tried to run and boom.
Right.
And
those aren't battle scars. Those are not battle scars.
But I want to elaborate on what Maurice said earlier about the influence of music. A lot of times in hip hop, people say, well, music can't make you do violent things. If you can listen to a song and it makes you cry, or if it makes you emotional, then that music can affect you in a good and bad manner. And what I want to discuss at some point during these shows that we're going to be doing is frequency warfare, low frequency warfare. A lot of the music on the radio got a lot of synthesizers and stuff in it, and the organs in your body, your heart, your brain has a frequency, and if you can tune into that frequency, then you can manipulate. I remember reading a story back in what the Russians used to do to the U.S. embassy. They used to send low frequency wave over to the U.S. embassy, which made people drowsy and nauseated and throw up. We're dealing with frequency warfare here in regards to the music, and at some point during these shows, I'm gonna go into that a little bit deeper, and we're gonna touch bases on that, and I'm gonna give you my case on why music can affect you and have you doing violent things.
Go ahead and break us down, Mr. Lewis.
No, not today.
No, not today.
It's a whole lot of stuff that goes into that.
And I want to just add one more thing to that too, because in the near future, like when we talk about the frequency waves and stuff, I mean, that is
serious.
That is very
that
powerful.
Is real.
That's
why real. People don't even know.
That's why it's important for us to operate at a higher frequency.
Low frequencies are bad. The lower the frequency, it's not good for you. So you always want to operate, as Brother Maurice said, at a higher frequency. And into that, you get into metaphysics and spirituality and things like that.
And see, the thing about it, when people say, well, music has no effect on people, this is my rebuttal. I say the first form of communication was music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When our ancestors came here, even though some of them were already indigenous to America, but I'm talking about our ancestors that came over here, you know what I'm saying? Not the immigrants, Ben Carson. No, with the joker talking about immigrants. Abduction is not congruent to immigration.
But you know,
say it again.
Dr. Uncle Ben Carson.
You see how we doing this round table discussion. You know, we have a lot of fascinating things to really bring to this radio station. You know, to this genre of what we're trying to get into. And first and foremost, I want to thank everybody that's tuning in and checking us out, and we want to make this thing positive. We're not trying to point fingers, but we're gonna bring up issues that's gonna touch maybe in your own house, and as we do these shows, we're gonna have call-ins, we're gonna have visitors and things like that, because we're gonna do a lot of promoting. Yes, spoken word music, whatever it is, we want to put positivity back in the Black community, and our Hispanic and Spaniard and Latino community too, because they going through it too. You know what I'm saying? Because as we was brought over here, they was brought in their own way over here too. So now, we have to pay homage to them guys too, because they getting the short end of the stick. And what I'm trying to do on that note is bridge the gap between Latinos and Blacks. We don't need to be fighting each other, just as well as Black don't need to be fighting each other. If anything, if y'all see the media and how our president, look, he's really showing that he's a rich dummy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
pretty
much.
And we are dictating we do. Things he do, we react. Remember, it's 3 A's: act, action, and react. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna react off of everything, media, music. I don't care if it's a drip coming out your sink.
Right.
You're gonna start formatting that into a track.
Well, I look at it like this. With the whole President Trump thing, it's a bigger agenda there than what most people think. And a lot of people don't really see it because we're constantly put on this entertainment roller coaster that we never seem to get off. But I look at Trump as a distraction to an overall agenda that's been put in place and that's been operating behind the scenes for a very, very long time. And
Agent Orange distraction.
He's a distraction. And so the more people tune into him, it's just like watching the playoffs, the basketball playoffs, or the football. A lot of the decisions get made. A lot of the big decisions get made around that time because no one is looking at the political leaders at that time. Everybody is focused on the game or on Twitter, listening to what Trump says, and not really paying attention to what's going on behind the scenes and the laws that's being made to control and contain us.
Hello.
So that's another thing we want to talk about. And another topic that I want to address at some point as we build this platform on IntellectualRadio.com. Another perspective is racism itself. That's a distraction itself. Because as long as I look at you as a white person and you look at me as a Black person, then there's always going to be some type of content. It's just like the Democrats and the Republicans, the Bulls and the Pistons.
Right.
As long as I can keep you separate, arguing about things that doesn't matter, that doesn't affect you one way or another, then you will always be blind to the truth. And the true agenda don't care about race. It doesn't care about color.
Right.
Because what their main goal is at the end of the day. So there's a lot of things we want to touch on out in Facebook Live. We're going to be asking y'all questions. We're going to have y'all chime in on this discussion as well. We also going to have it where people can call in and ask questions and things like that. So once again, thank everybody that's tuning in right now. And we're gonna keep it going. But right now we're talking about the violence in Chicago.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Kareem.
We're talking about the violence in Chicago and how it affects us growing up, how it still affects us, and what kind of ways, what can we do to change the situation that we're in. Go ahead, Reese.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that particular point up because on this particular platform, guys, another perspective, we don't want to just focus on the problems.
Right.
We want to introduce some solutions. And that's why we call it another perspective, because we're offering a fresh perspective on solutions, or just offering fresh perspectives on things that we really need to touch on. And I just want to mention something real quick. Since we're getting back to the original subject matter, we're talking about violence in the community. I want to ask you, brother, something, and ask all the viewers out there listening. Do you think that diet in addition to all the other problems going on, like we talking about lack of financial resources, bad parenting, the media controlling our narrative, police, racism, segregation, you name it. But what about diet? Do you guys think that diet plays an impact on the violence, the behavior patterns, the violence in the community?
You know what?
Who wants to
I'll
jump in?
say yes. It really does, because if you like mostly a lot of fast food restaurants, I see majority Black restaurants, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Deli King Inc. because even though that's my brother,
Right.
he has a lot of good food, like good service, no fast food, just very gourmet, like very health wise, like spinach pizza.
That was a nice plug.
And it's like very health, like eat healthy stuff, you make healthy wise for decisions in life. Later on down the line, you have different food, like variety, like Mariano's. They have a good gourmet food, such as like KFC and McDonald's. That's just negative stuff, because you see mostly people, they all do is eat fried food, and they can't focus, they can't function right.
That's right.
You feeding your kids this stuff too. They're going to respond. That's their reaction to it.
I would say this. If you kill an animal out of fear in order to eat, then you take on that fear.
Ooh, I like that. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say it again.
I like that.
I'm going to say it again. If you kill an animal out of fear to eat, then you take on that fear. You got to think. You got to look at it. We're energy. At our core, we're energy. Right? We have the ability to attract negative and positive energy
all day.
Right? If you look at Mother Earth, fruit, apples. If you take what you call a multimeter, and you stick a needle in the apple, it's going to give off some energy, electrical energy,
positive energy.
So that shows you that the food we eat has energy.
Yes, absolutely.
Positive and negative. And it affects us if you eat greens. Kale and stuff like that.
Ooh,
it has a positive. It has a positive influence not only on your body, but your mindset. So it's like you are what you eat.
Yes,
at the end of the day.
You are what you eat, and there's no telling what. I was talking to my cousin the other day about milk. And I told him I didn't drink milk anymore. And he was like, why? I'd be like, because instantly when I drink it, I get sick because it has mucus in it. But not only that, I broke it down to him. I said, when a cow have a baby, it's just like when a parent have a baby, a mother, a child. The milk that develops in her body is for that child. The same for that cow. When it has a baby, the hormones in that milk is not for us.
That's right.
No, it's not.
It wasn't made. It wasn't made for us.
Right.
It was made for that newborn.
Right, for that calf.
That calf. It was made for that calf.
Right.
So if you taking on those hormones, how would that affect? What type of effect would that have on your body?
That's right. And your body is like a bank, man. It's basically whatever you deposit is what you're gonna withdraw.
Exactly.
If you're depositing, and this is just another perspective, if you're depositing nothing but bad foods in your body, your health and the end result is going to be bad health. And that's on every level of your body. That's psychologically,
yep.
physically.
So that goes back to what I always thought about. Now, all of us, we can't, you got to think about it. We can't afford a lot of those good foods. So what was the best thing back then for people to eat was pork, chitlins, some from the pig. I mean, we had to eat the slop food to make a good meal. It's hereditary. I don't have to go through that structure.
Right.
So
they call it the plantation plate.
The plantation.
Exactly. So now think about it in modernized today, because here it is. Now you don't get kids eating anything.
And that's
you know what I'm saying? If a child got to go into the store and steal, and before he walk out the door to steal, he eating. He's not stealing. He's hungry.
He's hungry.
You feel
Exactly.
me? So if a man wish to have now considering, you got people that chemically challenged and they might sell it to get a hit. But you can separate a junkie from a man that's actually at the end of trying to feed his family or a mother. So, them the things that we're gonna be putting perspectives on, because now I'm gonna throw the ball in my viewers' hands. You know what I'm saying? Now you can sit here and say, well, we eating. But yeah, you might be eating and the kids are satisfied. But what are you doing to God blessed you with this meal? Pay it forward. I'm not telling you to go feed 20 people, but if y'all got that one child knowing that his mother and father is going through something, feed the child.
Right.
The thing is alienation. When you alienate people in your family, you alienating part of your history. Point I wanted to make. Going to education. We touched on education.
Right.
Now I just got educated, and here I am. I'm 45 years old. I never knew that it was a whole house, a room full of black women that knew math, mathematically, mentally, that helped that thing get up on the moon.
Right, hidden figures.
Yeah, hidden figures.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to put. We're gonna talk about that because that amazed. Now, me and Kay always used to talk about when we used to be together, and we always talked about what's wrong with having a woman to be a president, because if she really is the backbone of us. Now, I took this to another level. These women sat here and looked at a chalkboard and got on a ladder, and looked at the chalkboard and wrote these problems out and helped that rocket get there. And you know what the nickname was for them back then? The computer.
Yes.
You know what?
Before they hit, because not to cut you off, but when the times came, IBM was the first computer that they was dealing with, but the person that supposed to programmed it didn't know how.
Right.
Now this lady that was over Taraji.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
You feel me?
It'll be coming to the red box soon.
It blows me because these sisters did what they had to do. You gotta salute them, man.
That's powerful.
The thing it is, we need to start respecting these sisters a little more. That's my take, regardless. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Me and my kid's mother can't stand each other, but I would never disrespect her in front of the kids.
All day.
I let her do her emotional thing, but I'm not gonna, because one thing I'm gonna set the boundary and the core where she can say whatever she's emotional. Okay. But here I am, a man. I'm supposed to take them punches and still show my kids that I am the man and your father. So I'm not going to do that. And I'm still teaching them, you still got to respect them regardless if they're crazy.
I want to elaborate on what both of you all said in regards. I want to piggyback on what he said first in regards to the plantation plate and how we picked up our ancestors' bad habits. A lot of the things in regards to eating the pig and chitlins and things like that, it was because after my ancestors would cut up the pig and give the best portions to the house, to the white folks in the house, they was left with the leftovers. Right. So we was forced to take those leftovers and make do with them. Right. And so that's where you get chitlins and things like that from, because we took what Chris said earlier, we reciprocated, we turned a negative into a positive. Now, in regards to education in our black women, I think a lot of time we don't give our black women due. We don't realize when you think from a slavery perspective, I don't think your mindset is always you're thinking of a woman. You always think of a man in chains. Mm-hmm. But our women went through a lot of the same things that we went through, and they had to endure a lot. They had to endure watching their husband getting killed in front of her and the child to instill fear in them. They had to deal with rape and things like that, being brutalized, prostituted, and things like that. So when we look at our women today, and we seem to demonize them ourselves, along with other races and things like that, we have to understand the pipeline that they came through and how that carries. And so.
And man, I'm glad you brought that up, brother, because all that's done is just spill right over into our communities today.
Right.
So we have to,
Mm-hmm.
we have to empower our women, because right now, if you look at our women, they have this mindset that at this point they don't need the black man. You know, from what I hear a lot.
Me too.
And if you look at it, they get educated by the white man. They get paid by the white man. They get housed by the white man. They are employed by the white man. So, and that's strategic though. That's done strategic to keep the separation from the black man and black woman. Because as long as she keep that mentality that she doesn't need a black man, that prevents the black woman and the man for even ever establishing a household again with each other. But it's not about. I don't look at our black women as what can you do for me, and that's the mentality that we need to stop in regards to finances and things like that. A lot of times when we go into a situation, even a relationship with a woman, the first thing they might do or that we might do is, what can you do for me financially that I can't do for myself? And I think that's one thing. What can I do for you spiritually that you can't do for yourself? What can I help?
Preach.
What can I do for you that will help build or extend who you are already? I'm not, finances, they're gonna come and go. It's like this model we got. I just went blank. It's ownership over money.
Right.
Ownership over money. And I say that a lot, meaning that the money will always be there. They will give you the money, millions of dollars. But the ownership, like Chris was saying earlier, is key. My mom always told me you have to have something that's physically is yours.
That's right.
Okay. So in regards to saying that in correlation to the black woman, I'm not looking at you, baby, as far as what you can do for me financially, because I can do that for myself. What can we do for each other to help us build and extend who we are spiritually and become a power couple, not only financial wise, but ownership and passing that on to others? Because if you look, take like back in the days in Egypt, you got ISIS, you had
Take your time.
ISIS. We're talking about the different groups.
no, you had ISIS, the gods.
Right. Okay.
You had ISIS, you had her husband, and then you had the son. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Whenever the husband left, he didn't leave the kingdom in charge to someone else. He left the kingdom in charge to ISIS, meaning that she didn't walk behind him. She stood on the side of him.
Right.
And she had just as much power as he did.
Right.
And so that's another thing that as black men that we have to start doing, is put that pride to the side and not be scared of a black woman in power, because they're here to stay. But embrace that. That's what you want. You want a woman that's in power. You want a woman that can think for herself, that can build for herself.
Preach.
So if you're not there, you know you leaving that household, that structure in good hand. And when you return home, yeah, you know it's sound. You know that foundation is sound. So we'll get into that too. It's so much.
It's so much we got going on,
No,
man.
I
You just don't know. You know, Facebook Live, all my Facebook friends and family, I thank y'all for tuning in, you know, and we're going to be bringing in a lot of issues, a lot of things to the table, so y'all can be able to chime in. You know, y'all can always hit me up on Aaron 4255 at gmail.com. Y'all can also go on my Facebook page. You can also go on to the story of Aaron Wright. Google me. These brothers got pages where you can actually talk to them too. So I'm just letting you know we here to stay, and we're going to be bringing a lot to the table.
Well, shout out to all my Facebook family and friends. I'm also, like I said, I'm a barber. Look me up with Chris Davis on Facebook. Also, you can look me up on Instagram as Smooth Cuts, __ KUTZ 82. That's where you can find me on Instagram. I have a lot of haircut pictures. So in case if you need a haircut, I'm on 6546 South Cottage Grove. And just look me up. And I appreciate all the love and support.
I'm Maurice Walls, aka Maurice Walls. You guys can hit me on Facebook at Maurice Walls. I'm a student at DePaul University. If you want to link up with me, we can always, take it to the court. And while I'm dunking on you, I can also, give you some knowledge and information. And while I'm, crossing you over and stuff. So just hit me up on Facebook, man. Maurice Walls.
I want to say thank you all for chiming in to another perspective on IntellectualRadio.com. My name is Kareem Lewis. Once again, my Facebook page is Kareem Lewis. We will be creating another perspective Facebook page and building the media as well. I'm also an audio engineer. Have my own record label, which is Sound Daily Music Group. So it's a lot of stuff coming. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Peace and love.
Peace and financial increase.